All right, Tony, you're speaking to Jon McNamara, and I've just celebrated my 82nd birthday just 3 days ago, and that's the 7th of June 1935 I was born. And as it happened, there were twins, identical twins, myself and my brother Pat, and it was quite an event, I think, in the village, particularly a family event, you know, that happened. And we lived here, went to school here, and you know, participated in all of the type of life that was going on, which was subsistence farming. Our grandparents were working the land and growing crops, hay and rye and stuff like that, and kept cows and sheep, and we had a kind of a frugal life. It was, but like every other family, the immigration bit came in. When we were 8 years of age, our father left to work in England.
That's what's his name, son.
When we were 8 years of age, our father left to work in England, and it was seasonal work. He went to a place called Shrewsbury, Shropshire, on the beat, and on his first night in the camp, the beat camp, where there would be a lot of Irishmen saving the beat, the foreman of the job called him up, and he said that he had a special job for him, that is a bootkeeper, and keeping an eye on everything that took place while the beet was being harvested. And that happened because he had an exceptionally good handwriting. He was described by Paul Henry as an instinctive artist, and the closest thing that he had come to, that Paul Henry had come to, Van Gogh. So he had that bit of talent, and that came in good store for him. And he was there for the winter, and then came home. That was the end of 1943. And he went back again in 1944, and because of his activities with the Rising and that, he was arrested in Liverpool and questioned, and he was detained for a couple of days. So when he arrived in Shrewsbury, the foreman said, well, he said, I'm very sorry, Anthony, I didn't think you were going to come, and I gave your job to another man, and I'm very sorry. But would you be interested in a security policeman job? I have a friend who's the manager of a Goodyear factory in Wolverhampton. So he took up that job, and of course that meant that he became well, almost permanent. And as a result of that, from the time we were 9 years of age until we were 26, he came home twice a year, 2 weeks at Christmas and 2 weeks in June. Arizona wine runner. Year broad nostok, tight cloak, story.
Achill emigrant Jon McNamara back from Wales for his 18th successive year, summoning the island's famous pipe bands into action. Each village boasts a band with a centuries-old tradition, and there's enormous rivalry on the day.
And all that said, he was a very caring father, and he saved all his money. He didn't drink, and he had a mission. And that mission was that he would try to educate his family so that they would not emigrate. And so when we came to the age of 14, instead of doing which everybody did here, going to the toddy hawking in Scotland, we were forced, I will say, to go to secondary school, because there was just a secondary school had just opened at Achill Sound, and that was the first of widespread education in Achill, if you could call it widespread. There were about 40 or 50 from all of Achill Island on the first day, and that was the beginning of education on that scale in Achill. Now I have to say, we hated it. We'd much prefer to have been in Scotland, and we had to do our homework when we came home, and we did not like it at all. And after 3 years, after 3 years, our father was in England, and we decided that we were not going to go back. We rebelled for the first time. And when my mother wrote this message to my father, he wrote a letter to us saying that he was bitterly disappointed, and his life's ambition had been for us to be educated. And he offered a little carrot. He said, if I sent you the money to go to the All-Ireland final, would you go back to school? So that was a little treat we could not, because we couldn't refuse, because Mayo were playing Meath in the All-Ireland final in 1951, and coincidentally they haven't won the All-Ireland since then, and that's 66 years. So that meant that we had to keep our part of the promise, and we went back to a school up in Ballahadderry, which is quite a bit from here, but it was a boarding school. And we spent a few years there and graduated from there, and then we went on to the university, and my brother became a dentist, and I became a teacher, and I ended up back here in the village school.